Hello and welcome, Facebook friends and other viewers. Welcome, replay viewers, too. This is Monday Morning Movement and Mobility. This is my son, Jaden. He said he wanted to be in the video, but now he's trying to be all shy. There he is. And my name is Henry Beyer. And again, welcome to Monday Morning Movement and Mobility. Now, for those of you who have been watching this in the past, you've realized that I have not been able to shoot one of these for about a month or so. And I was just having problems with Facebook Live, and I don't know, it's probably my internet provider. Here he is. He has this sweet Star Trek ship or Star Wars ship that he wants to show you. So as I was saying, it's probably something to do with my internet provider and upload speeds and things like that. But there was also something that Facebook did, that they changed their Facebook Live setup or how it works, and it just was not functioning properly. Here we have an umbrella because it was raining, and my son is trying to be goofy, so just please beware, bear with us as we're doing this. So I've settled on shooting these videos ahead of time and then posting them. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Posting them ahead of time, or not, videotaping them ahead of time and then posting them on the day that I want to do this. So I'm actually doing this on Father's Day. It's Happy Father's Day to all of you dads out there, and then I'll post it tomorrow morning for you at the normal time that I would do it, which is like 6:30 a.m. here in Boulder in Colorado. So for today, and then this will be the format for the near future until I figure out my internet connection and all that sort of jazz. So for today, we're going to do a few mobility exercises, and then we're going to talk about squatting, which is something that I've been working on for the past month or so. And I think one of the last Monday Morning Movement and Mobility episodes I was actually talking about squatting, getting into the a new squatting routine and things like that. And so we'll get into that in the second half, but let's just jump into some mobility exercises since we haven't done any of these for a while. And here is my son with this thing. So we're going to start, we're going to do neck and shoulders and maybe some hip stuff so that we have those warmed up for doing some squat, showing you some squat exercises. So now you're just not being cool, Munchie. If you want to be in here, you can stand in here, but not trying to distract me or the other people from what we're doing, okay? Thanks. All right, so here we go. Neck. Remember the neck, back and forth, and just taking it easy, and not pushing it at all, especially if you're doing this in the morning. If you've been up for a while, that's good. If you haven't been up for a while, maybe hold off on doing, the neck ones, or keep it very, very minimal, because the guy, Stuart McGill, Ultimate Back Health and Performance and Fitness, or Health and Fitness, or whatever the title is, says that early in the day, your spinal fluid is sort of on the lower side, so you don't have as much cushion. So you don't want to be over flexing your spine early in the day until more fluid gets in there. So and then to the side. So that's just a caution thing. So trying to do the neck things, I actually, considering that this is going to be at 6:30 in the morning, probably wasn't the best idea to start with the neck, though I do like it. All right, so there's some neck exercises. maybe don't do them right now if it's early in the morning, but pull them in later. So now we got shoulder shrugs like these, back like that, and then I don't know how many was that. 5 for 10 of these is nice, and then forward like this. Try to keep, when you're doing these things, try to keep the rest of your body loose. Yeah, that feels good. And then feels good to be back doing this stuff for you guys. I like doing the videos for you, and I was getting frustrated with how the Facebook Live was going. It was like I would spend days with apparently having the videos trying to get loaded onto Facebook or something like that, and it actually like totally jacked up my data on my phone and things like that. Okay, that was good. So then remember, big circles with the arms like this. These are, yeah. It's almost funny. It's like, it feels like I just haven't done any of this stuff for like the past month because I haven't been sharing it with you guys. A lot of the mobility stuff comes in with my workouts, but I don't necessarily do just a straight mobility routine a lot of the time. I sort of throw it in throughout my training sessions. So it's actually nice to just be doing this like this. I mean, and that's the thing for you to just think about is really how can you get this stuff in to your daily schedule, your training schedule, so that you're keeping on. Remember, frequency trumps quantity, so a little bit every day or a few days a week will go a long way to just helping you feel better. And then forward like this. Yeah. And other arm. Not really keeping count. Just doing it. Getting the blood going, right? Early in the morning. There. Early in the morning for those of you doing this early in the morning. Yeah, nice. Now here's another sort of spine one, but just don't get too carried away. Just side to side. If you can add that to it like that. Yeah, that feels good. That feels good for that. Then arms, if you remember this one, it's like wrist and elbows, and actually even your shoulders, because it's spinning your shoulders from up to down and getting your elbow and your wrists on the other side. I like this one a lot. Yeah. You just notice when you do this for a little bit, your body just seems to, it's warming up and getting more awake. All right, that's pretty good. Now, hips, I'll step back a little bit so you can see the hips more. And so side to side, remember the hip tilting. So like if you're pubic bone down here, and this is your belly button here, and kind of do it on an angle here like this, pubic bone, belly button, and you're scrunching, trying to pull your pubic bone to your belly button, shorten this space. So that's like if you imagine it when your hips, your pelvis is a bowl, and in the neutral position, the bowl is level, the water in the bowl will be level, and when you pull your belly button and your pubic bone together, you're tilting the bowl backwards like this and spilling water out the back. And this is flexion, and this is extension, flexion, extension. So then when you put extra curve in your back, it's like pulling your butt up, you're tilting the bowl forward. So, and then side to side, you're tilting the bowl like this. You go like, actually when you go to this side, you're tilting the bowl this way. When you go to that side, you're tilting the bowl the other way. So you go around, you go tilting the bowl backwards, tilting the bowl to the side, tilting the bowl forwards, tilting the bowl to the side, or like this. Bowl back, to the side, bowl forward, and then to the side. So we just do that. This is the belly dance. Pavel Tsatsouline in Super Joints calls this the belly dance. And it's good to go in both directions. My head's getting cut off, I'll stand back. All right, so then you have what he calls the hula hoop, and that's imagining a diamond around you and hitting the 4 points of the diamonds with your hips.
Hey, Dad, I did
and essentially your shoulders are staying in the same place.
Dad, I did that in movement.
What's that?
I did that in movement.
You did that in movement? So my son has a movement class at school, and he said that he does, which exercise? The belly dance or the hula hoop?
We call it hula hooping.
Hula hoop. You want to do it with me? You want to show us? You want to show us how good your hula hoop is? And then do this. Be sure to do this both ways. And sort of your hands are just, so you're getting the same, it's just a different sort of movement in the hips, but you're moving the spine and the hips through those different motions. And then I like this leg one that I got from when I hurt my back. When I hurt my back, you remember that, back in February, and I was doing this thing called Telespine. Gonna raise this up just a touch like that. So yeah, there we go, that's a little bit. So this is just swinging your leg back and forth. If you have something that you need to rest your hand on, you could do that. And this is putting your back through flexion and extension with each leg. And then just making sure I'm not going to hit something, and then you do it up with the other leg. Yeah. So, and then, hey, no, Munchie, don't do that, because that's making noise, right? Or do it over there. So then you can do one, stand on one leg, or if you need something, put your hand on it for a little balance. And then just move your leg, you're moving the leg through the socket here. And then go back the other way. And we're going to do some on the other leg. And we're getting close to the 15-minute mark, so we're going to just do one more the side to side straddle exercise. I can put this down a little bit more like this. So, oh, that was too much. I definitely miss having it sort of like this and across like that. And actually, when we're in this side, we'll roll into the Cossack, and then we'll go over and then roll into the Cossack. And remember, when you're rolling into the Cossack, you want to have your knee straight. Try and have your kneecap, your knee locked and your kneecap going straight up. And then like that, and then roll in. Oh yeah, that feels good. And really it's sort of like pulling on the socket here. Like you're trying to pull the leg out of the joint there. Oh, yep. And then drop into that. Okay. So just do a few of those. All right, so now feeling a little warmed up and can show you just a couple of exercises that I've been working on to help. Munchie, can you stop doing that or take it outside? Thanks. Okay. So I have a couple exercises that I've been focusing on to improve my hips. Now, for me personally, the squat has been, a somewhat troublesome exercise. Just like sitting a lot and doing things like that. Sleeping, but sitting really, we just get stiff in the hips, and we really need to. Munchie, you are actually being a little distracting right now.
I just want to lay a little bit.
Okay, then don't be moving around so much, okay? Because it is distracting. So, back to the hips. So our hips just get tight. Modern world is not friendly to the hips and hip mobility. So that's just, for me, personally, I just want to work. That's one reason why I've been working on the squats. But because I just want to improve overall hip flexibility. But there are other reasons, and I want to share a few of those with you for why working on the squat, and not just squatting, like being able to squat heavy weights, but being able to get down into that hunter-gatherer squat that you're probably familiar with, where you just all the way down, and like kids can do it so easily. The other day, my friend's son was over here, and he was just plopped down on this like easy squat all the way to the bottom, no trouble, could just hang out in that. And so that, for me, that's a personal goal. But so Katie Bowman, who wrote this book, Move Your DNA, said,
I can do that.
yeah, so here, I'll show you. Here's my son doing it. Here, do it over here so they can see it. So there he is. He's just hanging out in like an easy aboriginal squat, and it's just it's natural for him and easy. And so that's, that's the goal for me, is to be able to get down and work into that. But it takes some time. There's a lot. The squat is a very complicated movement in terms of, all of the different joints that are involved and muscles that are involved and the stiffness that we get, as I said, from sitting around. But so what Katie Bowman said, she wrote this book called Move Your DNA. She says basically the squat is a non-negotiable ingredient for improving issues with the gut, the pelvis, the hip, and the knees. So, it has, besides being a powerful strength-building exercise, muscle mass-building exercise, it has some very other, powerful health benefits. Katie Bowman also says the squat's not so much a single exercise. Like when you think of the squat, you might be thinking about, the back squat where you got a bar in your back and you're like that, and you're trying to build a lot of muscle mass. She says it's just not that, but it's really more of like a category of movement. So remember movement pattern. So it's a movement pattern rather than a movement exercise, rather than just a single exercise. And the squat has knee flexion and hip flexion and ankle flexion. And my son's trying to show me some other stuff that shows him how flexible he is and how inflexible I am. Anyways, so that's Katie Bowman. She's basically just like, she's all about the squat because we move from the pelvis. And so when we have, stiff, unhealthy pelvic movement, we just have, it just like ripples with effects to other areas of our life. So she's like, getting a good squat is really a fundamental thing to be able to do. Okay, stop. Okay, so then we move on to Dan John. Now, I've talked about Dan John before. He is one of my favorites in terms of strength, along with Pavel Tsatsouline. He's one of my favorites as well. But the two of them, Dan John and Pavel, are my favorites in terms of building strength, what their ideas about building strength and how to go about doing it. And so from his book, one of the books that I have of his, but this is the newest one that I have, Hardstyle Kettlebell Challenge, he really says that the squat is one of the two most powerful movements a human can do, and the other one is the swing. And so the squat has knee flexion and hip flexion, and the swing has hip flexion. But these are two of the most powerful movements that we can do as human beings. He also says that the squat puts a high demand on the hips. Stop moving the thing, Munchie. You're gonna have to leave if you can't stop, okay? Thanks for your patience, everybody. I know my son's 8 and he wants attention, and he's been a pretty good boy this morning, but he's sick and tired of me doing this trash. Anyways, so the squat puts a lot of demand on the hip, the leg, and the back in terms of mobility and stability. So, by doing it, you're just improving those things, and you're improving your ability to be active in a lot of different ways by working on the squat. And then Dan John also says that the squat is the best exercise for building mass and overall strength compared to probably all other exercises combined. So that's a pretty big statement, but again, just speaks to why the squat is so important. And then of the squat exercises, he says that for most people, the goblet squat is probably all they'll ever need for building their squat, for getting good at squatting, and for building, the appropriate amount of strength. Remember, we're talking about what are we looking to be fit for, and for most people, you are not going to need to be able to squat 500 pounds or whatever it is. You just need to be able to get up and off, get down and up from the ground, get down to the ground and up from the ground, and maybe lift something off the ground or whatever. And just being able to move the squat is a great exercise for doing that. And the goblet squat is probably the best all-around exercise to teach you how to squat and to help with building that mobility and stability in the hips and the knees and the ankles and the back, so that you can get up and down easily. So that's Dan John. Then Stuart McGill, I talked to him about before, Ultimate Back Performance and Fitness, says strong glutes are your butt muscles are a must for back health, and the squat is an exercise that helps build your glutes when done properly. And the single leg squat, I think I have talked about that in a video, but I did some 5 weeks of single leg squats, and really the goal of that was to really help each leg learn the movement patterns for the squat. And now I gotta what?
Are you going to show them?
So I spent all this time talking. I'm not going to have a lot of time showing you some of these exercises. So we'll come back. But this is going to be like a several episode things working through the squats. So the single leg squat helps not only build a powerful squat, but also helps develop the proper movement pattern, proper muscle recruitment for doing a squat. So that's going to be one of the exercises that we'll be showing you later on to help with that. And then finally, Gray Cook, Athletic Body and Balance is the book that I have for that. And he has this functional movement screen, and doing basically an overhead squat is one of the movement screening patterns, but it's also the first exercise that he works on in terms of building, improving overall functional movement and movement patterns. So he says, and one of the reasons for that is that he says, Gray Cook says, that a deep squat is a fairly good indicator of overall movement quality. So if you are able to properly get down into and out of a deep squat, then your movement is fairly good overall. And then as I said, the squat is the first of his functional movement screens, and it's also the first of the exercises that he works for improving your functional movement screen. So for me, that's why we're focusing on the squat. Now, so
He's gonna do his squats.
So we'll get to goblet squats and one-legged squats and things like that, but right now I'm just going to show you quickly 2 exercises, maybe 3 if there's time, that I like to do to help set you up for being able to work on the squat. So what I'm going to show you is basically toe touching exercises, and so I have a 2x4 here, and you can use a towel, but I have this little foam thing. So what you do is you have your toes, feet together, toes up on the 2x4. You reach overhead, tighten your stomach, and then come down and go down to the ground. Now, if you can't make it down to the ground with your knees straight, then the thing to do is go down as far as you can, and then bend your knees until you can, and then slightly try to straighten your legs. And each time, you try to go a little bit further. And then you'll do, with your toes up on the board, you'll do about, 10 to 12 reps. And then the next one is you put your heels, feet together, you put your heels up on the board, you put the towel or whatever it is between your knees, and the same thing, reach overhead, tighten your stomach, down, touch your toes. Gray Cook is like, you don't even want to try to get into the squat until you are comfortable touching your toes. So like, you could spend a little while working on this. And again, with the heels up on the board, same thing. If you can't touch the ground, then here's my boy. Then if you can't touch the ground with your legs straight, then bend your knees until you can touch the ground. Then try to slightly straighten your legs while maintaining contact of your fingers on the ground. And then when you go back up, each time you try to get down. And you keep working on just this aspect of this is moving into the squat, right? You're pre-setting yourself up for the squat, but you do this exercise, these 2 exercises first. Now there's another exercise that I'll show you that, actually I'm going to show you 2 more. We're going to run over a little bit today, which I appreciate it. Appreciate your patience there. Now this one is another toe touching exercise, but you go down. When you go down, you round your back. This is more about your back than your hamstring, so you can have your knees slightly bent here. You breathe in, a three-quarter breath, three-quarter full breath, and then you squeeze your butt cheeks together like you're trying to hold a quarter in between your butt cheeks. And you hold that for a couple of seconds, and then you release, and then your feet don't need to be together. You can be shoulder width apart or whatever. And then you do it again. Breathe in, squeeze, and release. And each time, after you squeeze and release, you should get down a little bit further. And then when you can't go anymore, when it feels like you can't go anymore, you bend your knees and come up. It's very important to bend your knees on that one. Because there's two real critical points about doing that one, that exercise, is at the end of it, you want to bend your knees. You don't want to pull back up using your back. You want to sort of bend your knees and then slowly raise up. You don't want to stress the muscles in the back there. And then the other thing is that you don't want to be hanging out in that bent over position for too long, because you can cause stretching of the ligaments, and then that'll cause looseness that you don't want to. So it's important that, like, when you release your breath and you go down, then you just take a couple of seconds, like, before you fill in your lungs again, and then squeeze your butt cheeks again for, whatever it is, 3 to 5 seconds, and then release. So those are just two key points there to remember. Now, the third exercise that I like to do for this, and this is sort of a hamstring exercise, and I'm finding that it's helpful. This is good for the swing and for this, but this is called Good Morning. It's patterning the hinge, actually, it's a hinge patterning movement, but it's great for gaining flexibility in the hamstrings. Now, you want to keep your neutral spine. You have your hands back, and by having your hands back here, you can help with just keeping your spine straight. And then the idea is just to push your butt back. And then when you push it back as far as you can go, we do the same thing. We breathe in, three-quarter breath, and then tighten like the leg muscles, quads, hamstrings, everything that you can down there, and then release. And then just push back a little bit more. And then another thing that you can do is when you're tightened down in here, this is not as important because your back is in a neutral position the whole time. You can, you breathe in, squeeze, flex all the muscles in your legs, and then release and push back. And then, like, if your knees are slightly bent, you can actually try to lock out your knees and help with improving the flexibility in the hamstrings. And then when you're done, you just come up. And then you do that 2 or 3 times, 5 times, whatever. And I've been doing them, like, I get out of bed and I go into my bathroom, and then I actually do these in my bathroom in the morning first thing. And I've been doing it for a week, 2 weeks maybe not, week and a half, something like that. And I've definitely found an improvement in my hamstring flexibility just from doing that one exercise. And because of that, I don't have as much stiffness in my lower back in the morning when I wake up. So, and that's an awesome feeling. It's not to feel like I'm like, oh, I can't move first thing in the morning. It's really nice to feel that sort of looseness and just ease of movement. Maybe not even looseness, but just ease of movement and non-stiffness waking up in the morning first thing. So the 3 exercises, the toe touching exercises with the board and the towel, and then the lower back sort of stretching exercise with the inhale and exhale and squeezing your butt cheeks, and then the Good Morning exercise for stretching the back of your hamstrings are 3 great exercises to start working on in order in order to get yourself ready for moving into doing more specific squat type exercises. So as I said, we're going to be progressing through the squats for the next month or so, working on this stuff so that you get a good handle on this. So thanks. So you can just plan on that for the next few weeks on Monday morning movement and mobility. And thanks for your patience for going over today on the time. But I'm psyched to have you here. Thanks for watching it. And if you have any questions, comments below. And again, my name is Henry Beyer. This has been Monday Morning Movement and Mobility. I am a life coach. I specialize in fitness and wellness. And if you would like to have a conversation with me about what's going on with you, I'd be glad to do that. You can email me or personal message me on Facebook. And we can see if I can help you out with whatever you got going on. So thanks again for being here, and we'll see you next time on Monday Morning Movement and Mobility. And be sure to catch Wednesday afternoon strength training on Wednesdays. And we should be having bringing back Friday Kaizen. We really hadn't got that one rolling, but we'll be working on that one too. So until next time, enjoy your week. Happy Father's Day again to all you dads out there. And thanks for being here. Cheers.